Welcome to this segment, and in this segment we are going to discuss about HTML tables. This is another very important principle of HTML that enable you to tabulate your data. That, for example, you want to present some data that you have been given in a tabular form, you can be able to use the table concept to be able to do that. Why are we doing this? Is because you realize that sometimes tables can really play a very important role. For example, you are creating maybe a static website or a static web page. You can be able to apply this concept of HTML tables. But nowadays, the use of HTML to make a web page, the use of using the tables to make a web page has become obsolete because of the responsive nature of the tools that we have in the market today. But therefore, this is a very important tool. We are going to look at different ways you can be able to apply this, how to apply the spanning, how to be able to understand how some of the attributes that you are supposed to include every time you have been given a table activity to be able to accomplish. Now, a table has got some key characteristic. So the first thing that you need to understand about the table is that a table requires you to know about the rows and the columns. That's very important for you to understand. Number two, you should be able to understand the collocation of the column heading, and also you should be able to understand where to place the table caption. So those three concepts are going to guide you on the process of making up a table. Now, every time you talk about a table, you cannot talk about a table without understanding these three tags. You have what you call the table tag. When you talk about the table tag, basically this one defines the start and the finish of the table. So if you want to create a table, the first tag that should appear should be the table tag. So the table tag identifies that this is the start and this is the end of the table structure. Then when you talk about the TR basically means the table row, which indicates that this is a row. Okay. And then we have the table data. With the table data, basically identify that this is the data, this is the cell where you're going to keep or where you're going to store your data. So the cell where you are going to store the data is called the table data. So that is exactly how it is going to look like. And then this is just but a syntax of what I've talked about. So this is the beginning of the table, whereby you are defining the table row, the table, and then this is the end of that table, and that's why you are going to have the closing table tag. Inside here we have got two rows. We have the first row, and in this first row we have the two columns. You can see we have TD, the first cell and the second cell, and then this is the third cell and the fourth cell. So that particular code, when it is run, it is going to look like this. So you can see this is the code and how it is going to look like. Okay. Now in this circumstance, we can be able to say that the TD will be able to define the columns, because there is no specific tag that can be used to identify the column in tables. That's why we are going to use the TD to help us to identify that this is a table row, this is a table column. Okay, so that is it about those concepts. Now I've already explained that columns are not defined inside the table, and that's why we are going to use the TD to help us to determine how many columns are going to be created in every table that we are going to have. Okay, so this is also another example of the table structure. You can see how many columns are there: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are the 5 columns, and you can see it is also applied in each and every table row that you are having in that step. Okay, now you can also be able to place the table headings by the use of TH. TH tag is mainly used to help us to put the table heading. Now the table heading is centered within the cell and displays in boldface. Why do you say TH? Why don't you just say TR? Because TH will be able to be identified that this particular content or this particular text should be of the boldface font, and therefore that is very important for you to be able to understand. Now this is just an example of the TH, and you can be able to see how it is going to look like. So this is the TH, the table headings, and you can see the moment you have just said TH, the moment you have just said TH in here, you can be able to see that the table headings have turned to be bolden, as shown in our table like that. The next thing that you're going to put there is the issue of the table caption. So sometimes you want to specify a caption for the table. So the syntax is very simple. You start with the caption tag, then you say that where is it going to be aligned, or where is it going to be placed. Is it at the top, is it at the bottom, is it at the center, is it at the left, or is it at the right? Then finally you are supposed to give us the caption text and then close the caption. Okay, now going further, here down here you can see that when you talk about the caption, okay, works only with the tables. The tag must be placed within the table structure. So you cannot be able to place the caption outside the table structure and expect it to work correctly. That's why you need to make sure that the table caption is captured within the table structure. Caption are also shown as the normal text without special formatting. So that is just very important for you to be able to understand also. Now when you talk about the table again, you can see how this caption has been captured. We have said that it should be inside the table structure, and that's why you can see we have the opening tag for the table, and inside the first statement that appears there is the caption, and the caption is here, the res result, and it has been positioned at the top. Okay, so you can see this is how the table caption will look like. Okay, now going further, you'll be able to see that you can be able to enhance the appearance of your table through the use of grid lines, the borders, and also the background colors. Okay, so these are the ways that you can be able to enhance the appearance of your table. Now with the HTML, it provides tags and attributes to control the placement and the size of the table. So how do you control the placement, and how can you be able to control the table, the size of the table? It is by the use of the width. Okay, so if you specify the width is equal to 500, for example, this is to tell that the width of this table should be able to occupy a certain space, and that is 500 pixels. Now you can also be able to add the table borders. So the table borders basically means the thickness of the table boundaries, the thickness of the table boundaries. So in case you put a higher value, it means the thicker it becomes. But if you put a lower value, it means that the thinner it becomes. So that is exactly how it is going to be. So if you say, for example, you want to use the border pixels to be, the border size to be 1 pixels, this is how it is going to look like. Yeah, so this is how it's going to look like. But if you continue putting more border size, you'll realize that it becomes more thicker as you go by. You can see how it is, and the variation has already been shown in these diagrams that has just been shown in here. Now another thing that you need to know is that this table is just an example of a 5 pixels border, and that's why you can see how outside side is looking like very thick. The boundaries of this table is very thick outside there, and that's why it has been placed 5 pixels. Okay, now going further, you realize that you can as well be able to control the spacing between one cell and the other by the use of cell spacing. So cell spacing helps you to control the amount of space between 2 cells or more. Yeah, so you can be able to control the amount of space left between 2 cells by use of cell spacing. And cell spacing also uses the measurements like 2 pixels, 3 pixels, 10 pixels, no matter how, it depends with what you want to use. Now how can you be able to implement the spacing? It's very simple. This spacing is supposed to be inserted inside the table at the table tags. So the cell spacing, the width of the cell, and many other attributes are supposed to be placed inside the table tag. We call them the attributes of the table tag. Yeah, so it's very important for you to know where exactly are you going to put this cell spacing. It is supposed to be captured inside the table tag. Okay, continuing further, you'll be able to see that you can as well be able to apply the cell padding. You can also be able to apply the cell padding. And basically when you talk about padding, you can say that padding is just that the distance between the text and the borders of the page. The distance between the text and the borders of the text, we can say that is cell padding. So you can see we can be able to control the border text, and the cell borders is what we call cell padding. And you can see it is also an attribute that is placed inside the table tag, as you can see in this case. Okay, then continuing further, you'll be able to see that we can as well be able to talk about the table size. I've already talked about it. table is one of the block elements, and therefore with the block elements it allows you to state the width and the height. You can set the width and the height, and therefore we can be able to see here we have the width and the height. Now for example, if I say that my height is 100%, this implies that it will be able to cover the entire display area. When you say that my height is 100% or my width is 100%, means that it's going to cover the entire display area. Okay, now going further, we have got examples of how to be able to implement the width of 500. How can you be able to implement the borders of 500? How can you be able to put the line cell spacing and cell borders as you go down like that. Okay, now we can as well be able to define the size of the column by using of the width size or the width value. So you can be able to specify the width size, and therefore you can be able to put it inside there. Okay, continuing further, you can as well be able to specify the column size by using the width. You can be able to specify the width of an individual cell. It does not guarantee that the cell will be that width when displayed in the browser. The reason for this is that the cell is part of the column containing other cells, so it's not possible for you to be able to set the cell size, because this cell is part of a certain spectrum of other cells. So you cannot be able to put a certain height for a certain cell and then it will be able to implement, because it is a spectrum of many cells within the same row, and therefore you cannot be able to adjust just one like that. That's why we are saying that this statement is telling us that a cell is just part of a column containing other cells, and therefore it's not possible for you to be able to set the width or the height. So they set the width of all the cells in the column to the same value to ensure that the cells do not change in size. Okay, so you can as well be able to apply to the entire cell, okay, to the entire column or to the entire row, so that it can be able to be translated all along. You can as well be able to place the alignment. So alignment of the text, you can be able to put the alignment in that particular set. So you can be able to specify that the alignment should be at the top, should be at the right, should be at the center, and so on and so forth. You can as well be able to also be able to align the content of your table. You can be able to set the alignment to be either by V align. You can specify that the text to be horizontally or vertically placed. So if you say that it is supposed to be vertical, you use the V align. If you are saying horizontal, you just use the word align. To align the text for a single column, you must apply the align attribute to every cell in that particular column. So that is what is going to happen in that space. And you can be able to see we have the examples here, that this one is align left, okay, align left, and then vertical top, vertical align top. This one is align left, vertical middle, vertical align middle, and then you can see. So this is a combination. When we talk about align and vertical align, it's something that you need to work together. So you need to specify the align positioning, and also you need to specify the vertical align positioning. And you can see this is just a grid that will enable you to understand how this V alignment of the table content can be done using these two properties here. Now the last thing that we want to talk about is the issue of spanning. When you talk about spanning, basically you mean merging of cells. How do you merge cells? Yeah, so that is what you call spanning. So when you talk about spanning, it is made up of what we call the row span and what we call the col span. So when you talk about the col span, this is whereby you merge multiple columns to form one column. And when you talk about the row span, it is whereby you create multiple, or you combine multiple rows so that you can be able to form one row. So we are going to have an example here, and when I go to my VS Code, I'm going to create such kind of a row, such kind of a table. And in this table, you can be able to see how it has been arranged. So this is what you call the col span. And why is it col span? Because it is merging multiple cells. That is, two columns has been merged. Okay, two columns have been merged. This one, three columns have been merged. Here 3 rows have been merged. So we want to create such, and then we see how the output will look like. Okay, so I'm going to type this in my VS Code. So we start with the table tag, like we said earlier that we need to start with the table tag. So table tag, so let me get rid of this. Yes, now inside the table tag we are going to start with the table row. Remember, we don't have in that exercise we don't have any table caption, but we can put any, you can just put there the table caption. You can just put the table caption. So we can just say caption, just say caption, and then inside the caption tag we can be able to say we can just say align top, and then you can just put there, say example of the table. Example of the table. And then down there now you can go ahead and now put the table headings. So you can just say TR, and then you want to put some table headings there. So table TH, and then you can say first header, and then you can put the second one, and then say TH second header. Okay, then the next one we have the TR, another TR. Now in this TR we are going to have the TD. Now you can see in our first row, this is our first row, it is having call span, and also it's having the row span. So the call span is coming here, whereby we are combining 2 columns together. We are combining 2 rows together. We have this first row and the second row, so we are combining 2. So we are going to have what we call the call span. So TD, the first TD, we are going to have the row span equal to 2, and then we also need to have the call span which equal to 2. Yeah, so that we can go to capture those 2 very important points. Now something that I've just forgotten, we need to put some borders here. So we can just write the border. We need the border of 4, and then you can as well be able to add some cell padding. You can be able to add cell padding. Cell padding equal to, and then you can say cell padding, maybe you can use 2 pixels. So you can save that for now. Also you can put add even the width, there's no problem. You can also be able to we just want to do the experience, you want to find the experience how it is going to look like. So there's no harm, you can also add the width to be 500. And then here we have already captured this, and then inside here now we can go to put the text that has been displayed there, and the text here is today's opinion poll question. So that is the text that we want to display there. Today opinion poll question. So that is the text that is going to be displayed there. Okay, after doing that, the next thing you are going to do is just TD. Okay, TD, then you are going to specify the next text, and that is here you can see also some call span is being done, the call span. So it is going to have call span 3. So you're going to have your call span 3 equal 3, because 3 columns have been affected by this. Okay, so by so doing we have been able to capture that table row, and then you move to the next table row, and in this table row we are going to have the TD, and this TD is going to have we are just going to have 3 TDs. Okay, We're going to have 3 TDs. We're going to have the first one called Democrat. The second TD, and just copy this, copy, and then paste it here, Control Z, and then the second one is Republican, and then the next one is independent, like that. So if I just save this, let me just try to save this and see if the progress has been made correctly, because that is what I want us to see here. So I can just show preview to see if the table is being created exactly the way I want it to be created. So let it load. So you can see how it is looking like. So there are some mistakes somewhere, a little bit. So you can see here we have everything set, like we have got the part at the top here, but it is not exactly the way we want it to be. So there's some text that is missing in this column. Yes, here. So there's some text that we missed. So that is political parties. Political party. You can see now it is okay. So we have the row span, the col spans, and the way it is going to appear according to this question. So you can see this is the way it is, and this is where my text is. This is something that I've just added. I can get rid of it just in case it doesn't give us the I think we can work with that the way it is. Good. That's very much okay. Now let's continue to the next part. And now the next TR is here. So we have got the TR, the second TR, but this TR is having what we call the col span. Okay, we have got the row span, whereby this TD, the first TD, is going to capture all the 3 rows here. So what you need to do in this case, you just open the TR, and this TR, you're going to have the TD, and this TD is going to have the rows, the row span, and this row span is 3. That row span is 3, like that. That row span is 3. And then in this case, we're going to write the text. So we are saying, do you favor or oppose? Do you favor or oppose? Do you favor or oppose increasing the minimum wage? So that's the question that you need to answer in this survey. Okay, now that is just one of the TD. The second TD is in the same rows. In the same row is going to be TD, and then you specify that favor. You need to specify favor. You can also paste here. We have another one called 70%, and then the next one is going to be 35%, and then we have the next one that is 55%, like that. So that is the first table row. That is the first table row. You can see now it has been able to be captured there. We need to open another table row. So the next table row, we have that, and then in this table row we are going to specify that since the first one has already been captured by the table row, therefore the row span, we are not going to specify anything there. We're just going to say oppose, start from that point going further. The second one you're going to say 25%, and then the next one we are going to say TD, we are going to say 60%, and then finally we are going to say you're going to say, the next one you're going to say that this is 30%. So that's it about that row. And then you go to the last row now, the TR again. And then in this TR we're going to have the following. We're going to have unsure, and then the next one is going to be, we're going to have 5%. The next one is going to be 5% also, and then the last one is going to be 15%. Yeah. So that is it about that. And then you can be able to also increase the cell padding. I think the cell padding is too much close, so you can be able to increase it a little bit. Even you can make it 10. You can make sure that it is big enough according to that question. So 10 is okay, and you can see it also coincides with the way this concept is being explained in this case. Okay, so that's how you can go to create a table that comprises of all the concepts you have learned. You have learned about the captions. You can see the caption has been captured up there. We have also talked about the table heading. We have placed some table heading at the top here, but because of the row spans that we are using in this case, it is not well placed, because we put it here, but now it is not able to fit very well according to the number of columns that we do have. But that is how you can go to position the table heading. Another thing that we have talked about here is the spanning of cells. Okay, so we have the row span and the col span, and then you can see how you can be able to capture the data as you go further. How you can be able to apply the borders is also another concept that you have been able to capture in this case. So that's how you can be able to go about it in this exercise, and that is about the tables. Kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel to support me, and also you can click the notification button so that when I create the next video you'll be informed. Bye bye for now.